this window when they are this young, the whole question for me changes to, okay, how can we build the best possible foundation for them that would serve them well going forward, and which they can develop further upon when they're older.
This podcast is brought to you by Force 8 Coach, your sport, your platform. Welcome back to my podcast called Science in Sports. I'm your host, Simon, as usual. I'm a German sports scientist, worked for the under-17 ice hockey national team, and recently got started as a university teacher as well in my spare time. And I also recently attended a very nice conference held by the NSCA in Munich called the NSCA Youth Development Conference. And today I'm joined by one of the speakers from that conference, all the way from Sweden, Joel Hansson. Hi.
Hi, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me to talk to you again. I mean, I visited Munich and had a great weekend and enjoyed some great talks. So very happy that I got the chance now to talk to you a little bit today.
Likewise, it was really I really enjoyed the weekend as well. It was really, really fun because it was the first time I've been doing a few presentations and few like coaching conference here in Sweden, but it was the first time going abroad. So I was excited, but I was also it hit me when I got there. It's like, shit, I'm gonna speak as well. I'm so used being a part of the attendees and watching, but it was like we spoke about off camera now. It was really, really, really cool experience to have this. I thought, the setup of like the main focus is youth development and not just like a side focus. That was like the main theme for 2 days, and it was really cool, to collect a room of coaches and professionals who are all in that world. And you like, when I started to talk to everyone, it was like, you live the same world as me. You think about the same things and you ask yourself the same questions. So that was really nice. So I really, really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was one of the attendees, and I really enjoyed all the talks because you were really in a room with, let's say, 100, 150, 200 experts in the field, all strength coaches, all physical therapists or sports scientists. So you could really see that the talks were great and a lot of questions were coming up. So really, really enjoyed it. And I think also in your case, a big thanks to Daniela for setting everything up, because I really liked this conference. I told you before, I was in Stockholm last year for the Ice Hockey World Championship, and a lot of ice hockey coaches there, now a lot of strength coaches. So just awesome that things like that are taking place.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it was, I thank Daniela a lot as well, because she was the one that, of course, put a lot of effort in organizing the event and invited me to come as well. And it was, that was the best part, I think, as well. Just like meeting and speaking with coaches from both different sports, but different countries and different, in a way, different environments and cultures, because you pick up a lot of things. Like you see both similarities, and you also see differences, and both in small things, but also like bigger areas of coaching. And there was a lot of things where I was like, this is a really good or cool way of looking at it, or of doing it. So I thought that was a really, really good weekend put together by the NSCA and Daniela especially.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get a little bit into youth development and like specialization of training and different age groups, could you give me and my listeners a brief introduction about you, where you're coming from, like your journey to the man you are at the moment?
Oh, yeah, of course. That's a cool question, with the man I'm at the moment. But yeah, so I would say that my journey started similar to many other coaches by playing myself. So I played at a youth level here in Stockholm, Sweden. So up until I was 18,
We're
And
talking soccer, right?
yes, that was good that you
Yeah.
fill in, because I was just about to say we're talking soccer. And considering what I do today and what I work with, unfortunately, there was no signs of other sports. It was just soccer, soccer, soccer. So I played from quite a young age, but then I quit it at the age of 18. But I knew quite early after that okay, I still want to be involved, like in this world of coaching and training. So I took a few years off after the quitting, but then I began my coaching journey by studying the exercise physiology bachelor here in Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
which and then if we would just like fast forward a bit, that led me into where I'm at today, which is as the physical development coach for Hammarby, which is a soccer academy here in Sweden. And that is a quite new role. So I started that role January last year, and it's been really 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 interesting really interesting journey so far, because I guess like many other coaches, when I finished my university studies here in Stockholm, I was like, okay, my mind is set for older athletes and older ages, and I want to work with that age group. But then this opportunity with Hammarby and the under 8 to under 14s, which is my ages, opened up, and I was like, well, let's give it a shot. Let's see how it is. And yeah, and so far it's been really really fun, and
Yeah.
that's where I spend the most time right now, working with like under 8s to under 14 in Hammarby.
I think first of all, obviously, thank you for introducing you again. When you talk about working with under 8s to under 14s, I had a brief time here in my current club where I was working also with the U teams when I had some free time working with the professionals. And I mean, you know it as good as I do that you can't do the same stuff with any youth athletes, maybe only the under 20s, for example, that you do with the professionals. So what is like like I said, maybe a hard question, or what problems are you working on a daily basis that you're trying to solve with working with the younger athletes, let's say under 8s, under 14s?
I think as you say, there's definitely like differences in what you do and how you approach the training. Because I think one of the biggest things for me if we speak about the under 8s, which are the youngest age groups I work with, is really putting the emphasis on trying to make the training fun. That is like it's a fun, but it's also a challenge, which I put a lot of emphasis on, because I do think it is super important that you at this young age start early to build this positive relationship with training and with movement, that it's enjoyable and it's fun. And I think also another big area, another challenge I think a lot about, is that if we think about once again the youngest ages, is that okay, they spend a lot of time with us in the soccer context in the academy. So the most of the guys, they don't play another sport. So we become like their main source of movement. And that for me is a challenge I think about a lot, is that okay, what do I do then with the time I have with them? Because I think it's valuable, and I think it's important that they don't just play football at this young age, but rather like include more varied and bigger, broader movement and broader training. And I think that's a challenge which is more, what do you say, more, it's more concrete and more applicable for the younger ages than, of course, when they get older. As the older they get, the more focus is going to be naturally on one sport.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about adult athletes, of course. But this window when they are this young, the whole question for me changes to okay, how can we build the best possible foundation for them, that would serve them well going forward, and which they can develop further upon when they're older. But I guess that's like one of these questions which I think a lot about when I work with the young ages compared to the older ages.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I told you before we started the episode. We talked a lot before we started.
Yeah.
When I was 3, I started playing ice hockey.
Oh, that's
or
early.
Not exactly ice hockey, but first time on the ice.
Yeah.
In like this public skating. Apparently, I skated pretty good, so I got started. Yeah, I guess when I was like 3 or 4 years old, to really play and start to skate with the under-7 junior team, I think it was. And because you just said to play another sport or to try other different sports, next to my beginnings, I started playing tennis until I was like in my like 10, 11, 12, 13 maybe a little bit older. Which I think pretty helped me a lot when I think back, because you just learn so many different skills, playing a second or maybe also a third sport. But then at the end of the day, you have to decide, because then it gets a little bit more serious. You have more practice, you have more, you have to spend more time in the weight room or on the track and field area. To go for runs or intervals. So then sadly I had to say goodbye to tennis. But I think because we want to discuss a little bit about the development in the younger ages, I think it helps a lot to play a second sport.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. I think there can be a lot of benefits with participating in multiple sports. And as you touched upon as well, it is like today it is a challenge for many kids to do that. Just considering like the time they spend in, for example, a soccer academy, where you will have a lot of practices and games, which makes it harder, of course, to participate in multiple sports. And the other part, which is not unique to Sweden, I think the general amount of free play and the general amount of movement outside of the sport is quite low, even in Sweden. There is, of course, a lot of screen time and sitting at home, which also is, for me, it's another reason why it's important to bring it in my environment, because they don't do as much maybe as previous as older generations did in the past, just playing and being outside and doing different activities. So I think it's another reason why it's important to do it today and really like make it a priority to include it, no matter what sport they are playing and practicing in from a young age.
Yeah, I remember back to the conference when you challenged this view of the more you do is better kind of view, because I also think that if you go into this let's stay on soccer or football or even ice hockey, if you start at 3 to 4 years old and you don't do anything apart from that you could burn out a little quicker than because you were just like, hey, I don't know, maybe you have pressure from the parents a little bit or from some coaches who get their job a bit wrong and don't want to have fun with them, just like achieve something even in the young ages, that you just have this feeling of at some point, do I really want to continue doing this? Because you have to, you're already in this sport for so long when you start that young, and you have no like second thing that you can clear your head with, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's always like the kid is always going to be the most important one. That's the one who should be the one that we focus on. Because I think, of course, as one of the other presenters, Rodri, pointed out during the conference, it's rare that you find paper also like taking in the kids' perspective, which, of course, I understand can be a bit harder to do. But that, of course, is such a big part of it. And I think it's definitely also like important to, or it's easy to fall in the trap as well, I think, of saying like this is good, this is bad. I always think it's more interesting to go a bit more in depth and see, okay, what is it specifically that could make spending so much time within a single sport worse? And I think you mentioned some potential factors that maybe, okay, starting from such a young age and focusing too early on performance and having that perspective, maybe it can lead to, as you touched upon, that you burn out. You lose the sense of accomplishment. You lose the love quicker maybe for the sport. Because I don't think it's the solution or the answer is never as easy as just saying, okay, this is bad and this is good. But it's definitely interesting to see when you read, as you mentioned, that when you read papers and you read and you see the background of many athletes today on a high level, performing well in their 20s or 30s, like in the adulthood, and you can observe that for many the background is quite broad. And that's interesting because, of course, that challenge a bit the concept of the only way is by starting earlier and doing more and doing more and doing more. But I think, of course, many of those type of papers are more like observational in nature. So it's not the same to say like, okay, the reason they went pro is because they play multiple sports. But you can observe and see, okay, there's a pattern here that a lot of elite performing athletes have a background which is broader than just playing a single sport from a young age. And I think that's worth mentioning and worth like diving into and thinking about why is that, or why could that be? But yeah, I definitely think it's something that we spoke a lot about during the weekend, and something I think about a lot for sure.
Yeah, I think when you talk about this early specific sport, now got a hanger. This early specialization. Sorry,
no, it's a hard word
to pronounce. To be honest,
hard word. Yeah, I know.
Horrible. That you have like short term, like a big chance for some good gains in the sport you play.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, when we talk about a 9-year-old, to get quick gains, I mean, kind of nice, but you want to work with them, or whoever coach will work with them later on. I think the goal should be that you create a broad base, so he has a good chance of a longer development, and to maybe also raise the ceiling for his then in the end stage when it gets to like high performance sports.
I 100% agree, because I think that's the temptation is to really like focus on the here and now and trying to create, as you say, to have the best possible under 9 team, or have the best possible under 10 player. But in my mind, I always come back to like, okay, where do we want to go? Like, what point is it? Or like, what do there is so much more, I think, value as well of zooming out a bit and realizing, okay, this is such an early part of their hopefully very long athletic journey. And there's no need to try to rush this process. Like, there's no need for me to, I don't have the focus, okay, how can I make my under 8 guys, how can we become faster? How can we become stronger? It's more like, okay, how can we prepare them in the best possible way for when they get older, when they grow up? Because I think that's when you work with these ages, for me at least, that's the ultimate goal, really, of and trying then to build a foundation which serves them well going forward, and which gives them a base, you can say, a physical base to stand upon. And then, like as you touch upon, then you naturally, when they get older, you start to intensify the training process in several ways, and you will start to specify it more and more, but for me, this is the time and this is the ages where you want to accumulate a lot of movement skills. You want to really try to expand their movement toolbox and pick up a lot of movement skills. And for me, then that starts with thinking of these guys not as football players, but more young athletes or young kids growing up, and I feel like when you have that view, then you realize that it can be equally as valuable to try another sport and do that as a session than just saying, okay, we're gonna have another speed session today because we need to get faster. Because that, of course, is as I started with, it can be tempting to have that view because you want to win the games here and now, and you want to perform here and now. And especially if we talk about soccer, it is quite competitive from a young age. But I think the most important thing for me, at least, is trying to build the base long term.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I think that's as I said, hopefully they will have a long athletic journey. So like now they're 8, 9. Okay, let's not rush it.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say, when we go back, in the meantime, a lot of years when we go back, I was under 9 coach in my former team for, I think, about 4 years. It's like a team consisting of kids from 6 years old to 9 years old. And we had like twice in the week, we had an hour with them for like off ice training. And we rarely worked on like ice hockey specific stuff. We just we rented like a CrossFit place just because we had so many kids that we could do something with them in like a closed area because it was raining a lot. And then we did a lot of obstacle courses. We did a lot of reactive games, just picking up different colored items, or who's the fastest to here and who's the fastest there. Played soccer, climbed the ropes, and they had so much fun. We worked with them, but for them it wasn't really that, okay, you have to do 10 push-ups. It was like they still gained a lot from it, I think. But you packed it into like this fun activity to balance over something, to jump over something, to roll under something. And it made so much fun. And I think it seems you think the same way as I do, that you have to make it fun for them, because in these funny exercises, there's always something where they will get better over time without like telling them to, I don't know, to squat 20 kilos or something.
No, it's really interesting to hear. And there's, I definitely think, because for me as well, one of the main things I constantly think about with these guys is, okay, how can I package the qualities or the capabilities I want to work on in activities which are enjoyable and fun? Because that for me is is a central piece of it all. Because I feel like when you have coached these ages, and you've coached, like when you're standing on the pitch with a group of, say, 25 under 8s or 30 under 10 players, you realize quite quickly that it's hard to have like this sort of, you got to be, I think, confident with also letting them a little bit loose, and because I think it's hard to expect them to have this laser focus and line up and do every drill perfectly. But when they think it's fun, when they are enjoying it, and you will also get a lot of more intent, and you'll get more effort from them. And that's one of the ways I see that it's connected, and it doesn't take away something. Having fun and enjoying themselves, for me, whenever I see it, whenever I observe my guys, it just adds usually more intent and more effort to it, and we get more repetitions of movement with even more effort, which is great when we think about like actual stimuli to the body and creating adaptation. So I think it's really not that it takes away and excludes anything, but it just adds even more benefits to it. And it's, as you say as well, it's such a big piece of the training in these ages, I think, that it should be fun, and it's worth going a bit deeper into that, and not just focusing on like what do we want to do, but also like remembering the environment and the way we want to do it. Because I truly feel that it's such a big piece of long-term athletic development as well, to create that relationship with training and with movement from the start and from early on,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
make it fun. And so there's a lot of similarities there for me as
And
well.
the funny thing is that you can pack so much useful drills into fun exercises
Yeah.
if you just change it up a little bit. And I mean, if you work with kids, it was an awesome time because you can just make an obstacle course and tell them, hey, who's the fastest? And then they just do it. They do it in a good way and in a fast way. And
Yeah.
they don't really think about what's the aim of that. They just have fun.
Yeah.
And in the back of my head, I'm like, hey, they're having so much fun.
Yeah.
They're doing something useful, and it will benefit them over the longer period of time. And it was amazing to think back.
Yeah, I that's I smile when I hear it, because I think about my daily work with the guys as well. It's similar in a way where I think more about trying to design the activities and what we do in a way where they, as you say, they don't have to be necessarily, especially the youngest ages, they don't have to be aware of everything that we're doing and what we are training on. They need to just be more engaged in the training and wanting to participate and do, because when, as you say, when they do that, when they are engaged and they do more repetitions and they are more do it with more intent and more effort, they will get a lot of benefits, I think.
Yeah.
But they are not, in their mind, I don't think that they are viewing it as, okay, now I'm practicing. And for me, that's okay. I stand back and observe and see, oh wow, there's a lot of good things happening at the pitch right now, I think. But in their mind, it probably just hopefully feels like I'm out here playing with my mates. I'm out there competing, trying to race my friend and trying to beat him, or trying to wrestle him down, or trying to carry him over to the other side, or trying to win the obstacle course and beat them. And that's that's how I want it to feel and be for them, because I think they don't need to be aware of everything from that early age,
Yeah, I think you mentioned Rodri, and I'm not 100% sure anymore if it was his talk, but I feel pretty confident when he showed the videos of the younger kids and his coaching philosophy or in his exercises. They did so much funny drills as well. So much joy was in the kids' eyes, and I think also the same what you just said. They don't know 100% why they are doing it, for which reason the coach wants it, but they're just so much bought into it because it's just a funny game, or it's if you lose a game, you have to carry your buddy around the pitch, and it's just so much fun when you think about it. And then in the older you get, the more you obviously have to you need to be more professional. You have to be that you have to perform. The results are counting more. But in those ages, you have so much time and so much. They have so much energy to do like kind of whatever you want them to do. But if you pack it into this in the right way, you can gain so much for them for the upcoming years.
Yeah, 100%.
If you don't do like too much or specialize, it's again specialize too early or do too much volume with them, I feel like.
Yeah, no, like you as you say, you can take advantage of them being young and having a lot of energy, and really like also challenging them, not being either too protective and trying to lead, like if I say hold their hand all the time, but also like challenge them and let them loose and let them jump, let them land in different ways, let them also try and fail and try again, and but yeah, it's definitely one of those things which I really enjoy as well, coaching these guys in these ages, is by trying to create this environment, but they really enjoy it, and they really have fun, because I think it's one of those parts I overlooked I think, myself when I played, because I rarely enjoyed training. I trained a lot, but I rarely enjoyed it, and that was, of course, due to a number of reasons. But I think that's it's always easy for me then to go back to my own perspective and realize, okay, I think it is important. It does play a role, and I think when you speak about these ages as well, and something I think about is, okay, what are some ways that we can evaluate the work? Because as you say, when they get older, you will of course have more data, and you will have more measures or maybe objective data to measure and to compare. When they're 8, 9, 10, I think one of the ways we can also evaluate is by, okay, how does it sound? How does it look on their kids' faces? How engaged are they? How many repetitions of movement are they getting in? These sort of things that could be a bit more abstract maybe, but I think that's something actually that I think about when I try to evaluate the work, because of course we don't have the same amount of data and the same amount of tests, for example, as you do as a strength and conditioning coach when you're older and working with older guys. But I think these, if we want to call them soft values, are really important as well. So how do they look? How is the look on their faces, and how engaged are they? How much are they smiling? How much movement and repetitions of movement are we getting in? Or are we just standing in line waiting and getting 2 or 3 jumps in, because then they have to wait too much and it's too much instructions for me? I think these are really good things to pick up when you try to evaluate the work you do with them as well.
That was funny because you say it. I wanted to go back to my time as well, because we were not the smallest club, but we were just a regular hockey team with a youth program, and not like a huge academy. You can see it, let's say, bring it back to soccer, like those Premier League academies, for example, which is like top tier professional. We could do kind of what we wanted to do with them. So if we go back to the beginning of what we just talked on the podcast about this multi-sport theme, how is it possible, or is it possible in an academy to really bring that benefit of a second sport, for example, in? Because you shared to me that it is already really specified in younger ages. So in my case, like I said, I'm pretty bad at soccer and probably never made it into an academy anyways, but I'm curious of how can you implement those kind of things if you have limited time. They always have to play and don't get the chance or don't have the time to, let's say, play tennis or go play track and field or something.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And there's like different ways you can participate in multiple sports. So for example, we can talk about diversification, where it's you participate in multiple sports through different teams. So for example, it could be a kid that plays in a basketball team, a soccer team, and a baseball team. And then of course we can also talk about sampling, which is more defined as someone that plays different sports, but mainly through play. So playing pickup basketball, street football, but it's not through different teams. So, and because I think that's why I start with that, because when we go back then to my environment, it's hard to truly bring in multisport in a sense, because I'm still the one who's going to coach it. So it's going to be the same coach. They're going to do it with the same teammates in the same environment. So in that sense, it's not that it's a true multisport training, I would say, because they're still doing it within the team and the same facilities and with me. But what I try to do is I still try to, because I think it's important, and I see that so many of our guys, or many of the guys, they spend the majority of the time in football. I try to coach and to schedule, multi-sport activities as a part of our training sessions, especially when during the winter months when we are indoors. when we have even better facilities and even more equipment to do so, we schedule it as a regular part of a training session, or we replace a part of the football session with X amount of minutes of multi-sport activities.
Okay.
So, but of course, it is not the same as someone who has 2 basketball practices with a team, because it's not the same amount of time, and it's not with a different team. But for me, I think we will move towards a future where that will happen more, but currently I think more, okay, this is the reality in terms of they are spending this amount of time with me, they're spending this amount of time in football. Okay, what can I do then with the time I have with them? And let's try to bring in multi-sport activities as much as possible in the best ways we can do. And I think that starts with having like the mindset, okay, this is also training, because of course it's going to be hard for them to throw a handball or to shoot a basketball because they've never done it, or to hold a tennis racket. Like you can see, okay, these guys, or like when we play baseball, like you can see many times that, okay, they haven't done this so much, but I think it's still so valuable, to do these type of things and to view it still as, okay, this is still training, so this is why it's worth having it in their schedule. But so I try to bring it in as a part of our sessions, and so far the guys have been enjoying it a lot, trying it, and I try to mix the activities that we do, and I think my goal and my hope and my wish is that, okay, if we do it at a relatively high and frequent dose from a young age, we will get a lot of exposure to it. But I don't think, you could also say, but would the best thing be probably that they play another sport in another team at the same time from a young age? But that's something I think is going to be more and more common in the future. But this is how we do it currently, that we try to bring it in as a part of their football session.
In a daily setting, or is it more like because when I remember back in my last 7 to 8 years of playing junior ice hockey, we always had the Thursday to play different sports. So again, our coach brought us to a basketball court, and we played in 2 teams. We played handball. We played soccer. Not a lot of times because we had a lot of injuries after the soccer game. But or stuff like you have to throw the ball with your hands, but you're only allowed to score with a header or something like that. Just different games, but on like a weekly cycle. Is it the same for you, or is it maybe also better to implement a little bit on a daily basis?
But we do it on a weekly basis, I would say, similar to how you guys do it. So, because there is a lot of things that I want to do with them, and a lot of like different types of training activities that I want to include. So I try to structure it in a way that we do it on a weekly basis. Just if if we focus on trying different sports and trying other activities, we try to bring it in, especially for the youngest ages, at least one time every week, and in a quite similar fashion to how you described, to having this sort of like approach to it, where I wanted to feel, once again, to feel playful and enjoyable for the guys and for the kids to try, and but as you touched upon as well, I think the exposure is of course an important part, like not just, okay, we're going to do it one time and then we're going to come back to it later. No, I think you need to do it often, and you need to do it often also because they are not doing it so much in their free time. They're not, most of them are not picking up a basketball and going out to the street with their guys, so that's why we include it in our work to have periods of the session where we are playing more street like football, where there's no rules, but they get to decide. And I then, as we talk about now, include try to include every week different sport activities in the best way possible. Like, for example, when we're outside on the pitch, I've tried to play basketball with either like a hula hoop ring or a trash can as the bucket. I know it's not a true form of basketball, but they get to bounce the ball and they get to use their hands, and they're so used to using their feet only. So I think that's one example of something that we do quite a lot. But yeah, I try to bring it in on a weekly basis and have a structure, at least for me. So it's not just, okay, what are we going to do this time? But rather, okay, let's come back to trying to play tennis. Let's come back to it again. Let's actually, practice it, because just playing 20 minutes of tennis one time is not going to do that much, but, keep getting back to it.
Yeah.
Keep having fun and keep exploring. I think it can be really valuable.
What I really liked, that if you play, let's say, on a weekly basis, you switch a couple of sports we just also described, that you will get better in all those things, even if you cycle it on a monthly basis, for example, because you can feel, if you play handball or basketball, that you just get the feel of it, the movements, and then the next time you play basketball, maybe you're not scoring a lot more, but you can just dribble it better. You can maybe make a couple of moves, and it's then also affiliated with the fun and the joy for that sport.
Yeah.
And then just the experience to be like on a different surface or a different area of the town, playing with friends or with the same group of guys you play soccer or hockey with in a different setting is just, it's perfect. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's valuable from many different perspectives. I also think just the variety of movement you get in as well, of, as you say, maybe you're on a different surface and you are, but you're moving and you're using your body in slightly different ways compared to when you play soccer and just play soccer.
Yeah.
And I think there is it's a value as well of becoming, as you described it, becoming more skillful in, for example, another sport. And I think that's a really good sign, because I do think it's interesting to see, like, many athletes at an older age having this background of maybe playing multiple sports, but having, I think this age as well, when they're so young, it's a stage where they pick up so many skills. They are so, I was about to say pliable, but they're so shapeable. So I think it makes a lot of sense exposing them now to a lot of different types of the movement, and because they can pick up a lot now, and I think that is maybe it can be a bit harder to see here and now, that okay, how can it help them if they also play tennis and also play basketball and get better at dribbling with the basketball. But I do think the general coordinative abilities and movement skills you pick up while doing that is something that will benefit them a lot as they get older, and they will play even more soccer and focus even more on that.
Yeah, especially it's perfect what you just described, because I'm right there with you. When I think of me playing tennis back in the days, it's on sand, and I play ice hockey, so where's the relationship, kind of? But then you have to think of you need to rethink how you play a different sport. You are in a different setting again, just one opponent. You have to read the game, you have to make decisions very fast, you have to be in the right position, you have to know where you are in the tennis field, and all those like coordinative skills that you develop and refine and get better at. Then on the ice, you maybe think a little bit different. You're like, oh, maybe I learned something new that I can now use in a different environment to maybe make a better play. I mean, you don't have a ball, you have a hockey stick and a puck, but it's still the same when you think about, okay, where am I on the rink? Where are my teammates? Where are my opponents? You just scan it differently. And this mindset that you maybe not generate, but where you get better at understanding different motions or movements, I think you will then benefit a lot after a couple of years.
100%. And I think those are what you described. Those are like trainable capabilities. That is applicable in a lot of different sports settings. And that's again going back to not just thinking about them as football players from the age of 8.
Yeah.
Because just as you described, by being exposed and being in more environments and being able to, refine and practice their coordinative abilities and their movement skills in different settings, I think will help them, will just benefit them when they then decide to focus in more on soccer, because then there's so many similarities and there's so many, even though, as you say, the sometimes the on the outside they can be quite a big difference in how it looks. But I think there's so many like general physical capabilities that is developed by being a part in multiple sports, or just being a part in varied training. It's something that maybe at the time feels a bit like you said, like why, or what's the connection here? But I think that's something that you'll reap the benefits of it later on.
Yeah. And now, in my case, it's awesome because when I call up the guys from back in the days and be like, hey, let's play tennis, let's play golf, let's play squash or whatever, we all went through the same multi-sport like phase of growing up.
Yeah.
And obviously we're not the best in any sport, please don't get me wrong, but you can just pick up a tennis club or a tennis racket and play and have fun, and it's a nice match, and you never thought about that 15, 20, 25, oh my God, 25 years ago. But now you're like, that's awesome that we did so much, because you can just play baseball or whatever, and you're pretty decent at it because you just did so much different stuff early in the career, early in life, that you now still benefit from that.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool perspective, taking it a bit broader and looking at, life in general, not just sports. I think that's a really, really good perspective as well. But, and I also think like, it's, there is, I've got a lot of positive feedback and interactions with the content I've been sharing on social media. But then of course, there's also been some people that has reached out and shared a completely different view and like question and said things like, this is, what is this circus? Why are you doing all this type of movements? Just give them a ball, stop this. And for me, it's not about, that, okay, football isn't because football is, they're always, for me, it's more just trying to expand the perspective of realizing they're already spending so much time in football, because as you said, it's not like the magic to becoming the best athlete is just play multiple sports. Then we would have, then we'd have even more professional athletes, I guess. But it's the fact that, okay, they're already spending so much time in football, and football is their main focus because that's the sport they enjoy the most. It's more trying, okay, let's add something more into it, and I think that's an important piece to add that you touched upon as well, that it's not that it's okay, the solution to everything is just playing multiple sports, but it's more about zooming out and seeing, okay, they are already spending so much time in their sport. That's why I do what I do. But so I think that's, of course, something that can be hard to really expand and explain on social media, because I see where those type of comments are coming from, But it's from the perspective of they are football players, give them a ball, do more football. But that's, I guess, is the main difference, is how you view them.
Yeah.
The kids.
Yeah, I get what you're coming from, and I understand that as well. But I still feel like it's not like you do the other sports to get professional there, to be a professional athlete, but just to have a different, just to try something different, to move and play and learn new experiences. And the effect of that, maybe you don't notice it at first, but you will get a better soccer player doing different sports as well. And then if you, in my case, look at ice hockey, a lot of NHL players who are really the top guys started as a figure skater or as were into figure skating at some point, and they're the best skaters in the league. And you can see that they're better, even at the best stage there is in the NHL. You can see differences. And probably on those stages, they did it because they wanted to be the best. But still, it is a different input from another sport, which is pretty similar in this case. But that helped them become a better player, better athlete, and perform better in pro hockey then. And I think that's a good example that even if you do, or you should do, multi-sport, because it changes your game in your sport, and it changes you as in the human way as well after sports as well, because you were just so versatile at some point.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's, as you say, there's so many like just social benefits, I think, as well, positive from interacting with different types of like different teammates, different coaches, and being a part of different environments that you pick up on as well, which is super important as well, because as you say, there's not like far, of course, this is nothing new, but far from every athlete in an academy, no matter what sport, will be professional growing up, or like reach the professional stage. So that is it's a good point you brought up, because it's in a sense it's more than just physical development, and it's more than just viewing it from the lens of, okay, this will help them become better soccer players. No, it will also just hopefully give them a like I said in the beginning, a better relationship with movement and training in general, and more fun memories and more fun experience in their
100%.
childhood, and that is I guess maybe the ultimate goal, because as it's not just about professional sports in that sense.
And I mean, we still make jokes, same what you just said about like 10 years ago, when you remember one specific thing that happened, you still joke about today. And it's just those like memories that just make the whole experience way more fun.
No, it's cool, because sports, it has such a profound impact on so many of us. And you spend so many what do you say, years when you are shaping yourself as an individual, I guess, in sports, and it has such a big impact on you. I think for many of us, we can think of a coach or of teammates that really impacted not just our development within the sport, but also maybe impacted us in other aspects of life, which is really cool.
Again, a good part what you just mentioned. As a coach, you're not only training the athlete, even from a young age, you're also training, or you should see him as a human, and try to development in this case as well for those couple of hours you have him each day. Because then at the end of the day, it's not just the player, it's about the human. But that's again whole new topic of coaching we could open up. Maybe we could save it up for a second episode, because I think we could talk another 2 or 3 hours about those topics.
100%. And I would love to, because it's definitely something that I enjoy talking about as well.
And I think it's something that should be talked about more, because I feel like a lot of coaches in youth sports are those type of coaches who they want to achieve something and they want to win something, and they don't want to look at it as I want to get the guys to perform better in, let's say, 5 to 10 years. And a colleague of mine recently said to me that he feels the same way, that in this dream world, you maybe should honor a coach like let's say, from 5 years ago, who brought up the most kids to better leagues and who are now performing, and not the one who just won like 2 championships in a row at like under 15s. Because is it that really that goal, or is it the goal to bring them into like a professional environment as athletes to then perform at the highest stages? So I think we could talk a lot about that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you often hear people say that youth is the future, and youth development and youth athletes are so important, but then often, which is normal, but often then when you are in clubs and when you see how the resources are spent, you will see more employees, of course, in the higher ages. And then at least here in Sweden, Stockholm, you see a lot of parent coaches or a football or soccer coach that has the task of trying to do a little bit of everything for the young ages. So my hope as well is that that we could expand on is that the investments and that even more coaches as well are, if I just think about Stockholm, are in the youth ages, that it's not just a parent coach, or it's just not a soccer coach that is tasked to do that part as well of the physical development work. Because I think we very many agree that, okay, it's important, but then of course, because the money is for the older ages, usually then the investment and the best often goes to the old ages. So I think it's that's an interesting bigger topic to talk more about as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I still think also last take from my side, I don't know if you are on the same mindset as I am, but I think that one of the most important coaches in sports, in my case ice hockey or soccer, is the one who's coaching the youngest age groups. Because if you already do too much volume, to too much pressure or whatever, they just back out and they stop playing and you lose kids. And if you have someone there who really lives to work with young kids, who has the joy, who wants to work with them and who can work with them, I think that is one of the, if not the biggest impact, because then you really get them closer to the sport you're in, and you really have a chance that they will do that sport for the next 10, 20, 30 years or whatsoever. And to like show them how much fun it is at that ages to play soccer, to play hockey, to really get them involved into the sport.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's it's a unique part of this role and such a cool part of the role. It's like the fact that some of the ones, like especially the youngest ones, you are one of the first impressions of a coach to them. They haven't lived that long to be able to have collected experiences of being with a lot of coaches. So you, as you say, you can have such a big impact on them in several ways. And it's you also, I think as a coach myself, I at least have reflected on that. There is so much I learn as a coach during these first 1.5 years working with these ages, like by observing them and by being with them as well. Like they have taught me a lot as well. And you just, for example, by observing and seeing, okay, how does it look when a 8-year-old with no coaching experience try to sprint and try to jump and just move in general, and what gets kids going? How do you? There's so many, I think, good coaching aspects that you are, or like just the creative side of coaching, which is of course also a really big piece when you're working with kids, that you need to be creative in how you do things, and in order to make it fun and to make it interesting. So I think there's so many good like aspects of developing as a coach as well, by being with younger ages, that I think you will have a lot of value with when you then maybe move up and work more exclusively with older ages. But I think as well, one of the coolest thoughts is sometimes to think about, okay, now this guy is 8. Imagine if I get to spend this next 5, 3, 4 years with him and follow along his journey and watch him grow. That's such a cool experience, I think.
I recently got the chance to see the guys who I work with in the under 9 team. and it was 2018, so probably there are, 8 years? So they're about 15, 16, and it was like unreal to see them again.
They're like
and
big now.
They look like almost men, and I was like, what is going on? And just those memories, and to see them, and they still remember like everything, and they're like so grateful and so happy to still play and still have love to the game. It was awesome.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
really.
I think we could, like I said before, talk another 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
But like I also said, would love to talk to you again.
Likewise.
I have one final little question for you, if you want to share your ways of contacting you, like social media, for example, if you want to plug that in. And I also want to put that in the description for people who are interested in you and your journey and what you do, to maybe get some insights or can contact you.
100%. So it's easy to reach me on social media. So it's on Instagram, especially my name is @Joel Hansson. So just my first name and my surname, Joel Hansson, and the same on LinkedIn as well. And so just if anyone that listens to this want to interact and reach out, it's just fun, really. So if you don't hesitate to reach out, and we can discuss more. But yeah, mostly active on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Okay, like I said, I'll put it into the description below as well. And I think we will talk again, pretty sure, because I really enjoyed the hour we talked already. I told you before,
it went by fast.
30-40 minutes. It went by very fast, but very nice insights you gave me and my audience. And I really enjoyed listening to you and talking to you and seeing you again after the experience in Munich. And from my side, it would be it. Do you have any final words of the episode?
It was a pleasure to be a part of it. And like you said, it's easy to talk about these things, and it's easy for the time to fly by, just like it did today. So, no, I really appreciate the invite and the opportunity to be on here speaking about this topic.
Sure. Yeah.
So, thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, very happy that we could have a chat, and hopefully not the last one.
Definitely.
And with that, I wish you all the best. Enjoy your time in Stockholm, and I'll hear from you, and you will hear from me.
100%. Likewise, man. Take care.
Okay. Take care.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a rating or comment, and share it with someone who loves sports science. And for more content, follow me on Instagram @science_in_sports_. See you in the next episode.